The area of a rectangle is 36 square meters. If the length of the rectangle is 1 meter more than twice the width, then what is the width of the rectangle? So let's define our variables and let L equal the length, and we'll let W stand for the width of the rectangle. Now we know that to find area of a rectangle, we use the equation length times width, and they tell us that the area is equal to 36 square meters. Now for our second equation, we know that the length of the rectangle is 1 meter more than twice the width. So that tells us 1 more than something would be 1 plus something, and then twice the width, or 2 times the width. Now we can use substitution by substituting 1 plus 2w in for L in this first equation. So then it would look like the quantity of 1 plus 2w times w equals 36. And we want to distribute this w into each term within the parentheses, and we have 2w squared plus w equals 36. Now in order to solve for w, we need to set the equation equal to 0. So we would do that by subtracting 36 from each side, and we're left with 2w squared plus w minus 36 equals 0. Now we want to use the method of factor by grouping to continue to solve this problem. So we want to look for factors of a negative 72 because we multiplied by the leading coefficient by the constant. And we want those factors to add up to a positive 1. And so those factors turn out to be a 9 and a negative 8. So we want to rewrite the equation, not changing it, but using those factors that we found. So a positive 9 minus an 8w minus 36 equals 0. Notice that the equation didn't change at all. It is still an equivalent problem. And so now we want to do our grouping of 2w squared plus 9w plus a negative 8w minus 36. And that still equals 0. Now let's factor out common in each one. So in our first grouping we have a w in common, and when we factor out a w we're left with a 2w plus 9. And in our second grouping we can factor out a negative 4, and when we factor out that negative 4 we are left with a 2w plus 9 again. And this still equals 0. Now, to finalize our factor by grouping, we're left with w minus 4 times the quantity 2w plus 9 equals 0. And now we want to finish solving for w by setting each of these groupings equal to 0. So we have w minus 4 equals 0, and 2w plus 9 equals 0. And if we solve for w by getting w by itself, in this first one w equals 4, and in the second one we get w equals a negative 9 halves. However, it doesn't make sense for a width to be negative, so we know that we can assume that negative 9 halves is not a valid answer, so our answer would be w is 4 meters, or A.